Hi, I'm Bianca Tarrant, co-founder of Our Cow, and welcome back to Paddock Talk. Today, we're heading to Yetman in the northern New South Wales to meet Scott and Hannah Baker, fourth-generation farmers raising 3 young kids on a property that's been in their family for more than 115 years. After droughts, floods, and some seriously tough seasons, the Bakers made a big call to pivot from cattle to a rising star in Australian agriculture, the Aussie White sheep. These sheep are hardy, fast-growing, and produce some of the most tender, marbled lamb you'll ever taste. And for the Bakers, they've been a game changer. Welcome, Scotty and Hannah, to Paddock Talk. Thanks for joining us. How's the weather this morning?
That's sensational today, actually. I haven't been out and done too much work this morning, but no,
He's been putting or
I've been chipping a bit of few golf balls out. I had a bit of time to kill this morning.
Oh, bloody
Busy. Farmers are so busy.
Farmer's life, mate.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
No, thanks for having us, Dave and Bianca.
First things first, Scotty. So just give us a bit of a rundown on Dunkami. Like, it's a pretty unique place. It's been in your family for a long time. I know that your great-grandfather returned from the World War I and built an absolutely unbelievable homestead that you guys are living in now, and the lagoon there that's at your place. Just give us a bit of a rundown on the history of Dunkami, what makes it so unique, and why is it special to you guys?
It has been in the family name for a long time. My great grandfather and his 2 brothers moved up from down the Hunter Valley from Scone, and they ran the place originally as one property, and it was called Tucker Tucker. And then when the 3 brothers decided to go their separate ways, they split the 3 properties up evenly, and so my grandfather Alan ended up with doing Kami.
Right.
Yeah, great grandfather, sorry. Ended up with doing Kami, and then he had 4 daughters. So one of his 4 daughters ended up coming home and running the place, and then she had 2 kids, and where my mother has then come home and run the place with my father Bob, and then now we've been given the opportunity to um, take on the place, which it's pretty special to be able to keep that history and family sort of heritage going on the place. That's what I find so special about it, and we hope to be able to give our kids that opportunity too. Um, with everything's going a lot more corporate these days. It's just nice. It's just nice to still be able to have a family on run operation.
Yeah, there's a lot of farms going that way now. It's not very common that you see long history places that remain in the family. And like, what was the operation like back in the early days compared to the changes that you guys have made on the place now? Like, it wasn't always sheep, was it?
No, it wasn't. So my great grandfather ran shorthorn cattle, and he stepped into he had a stud for a long time there, and used to sell a lot of shorthorn bulls up into the Northern Territory and the Gulf sort of country. And he also had a small, I'm pretty sure it was a Border Leicester stud back in the like only very small, back early on. And then he shifted. I think he shifted out of it when the sort of game started to change up in the Northern Territory. It started to move into that sort of Brahman cattle, um, and so they sort of went to a commercial operation with shorthorn um, cows and calves, and used to finish some steers, and obviously sell weaners straight to Inverell and places like that, and then my grandparents continue that tradition, and then when my father and mother took over, we had a bit of a shift in the goalpost. Like we went a little bit more cropping, and because we had less country to run breeders on, it sort of wasn't as reliable as what we thought the sheep could be. So we sort of shifted our focus to them, and happened to be lucky that when we were shifting our focus to sheep, that this Australian white breed popped up, and we sort of jumped on the train.
Yeah, cool. So give us a little bit of a rundown around that, Scotty. Like, what was the thinking around that, and how did you guys get into the Aussie Whites, and what attracted you to them?
Yeah, so we grew up. I grew up out at St George as a young fellow, and we had merinos out there, and so when we came in here, we sort of didn't want to go to that way, in the way of having to shear and all that sort of setup. You need a shearing shed and all those sort of things. There's a lot more work involved with the merino industry. So when we saw this breed pop up, we pricked our ears and started having a bit of a look into it. And they were really promoting that it was going to be a shedding breed, just a meat sheep. They Polyestrous, so they should be really strong with lambing percentages, and being able to get in lamb all year round. So we went that way, and it took a while for us to sort of be able to build into it, because we had to make a lot of changes around fencing on the place, because it was all just barbed wire. Um, but the place is in the last 10 years, our place has completely transformed from what it looked like when we sort of moved here with mum and dad. Yeah. And so the breed has been, we sort of started a little stud to start off with, and then sort of push more into the commercial side of things, and have just kept the stud sort of building, and it's sort of really sort of come online in the last, I'd say, 6 years. It's really starting to come to fruition with getting the stock to where we want them to be.
I think
Awesome.
like what I've noticed the most about the sheep, like from a consumer's perspective, is the different taste. Like they taste so different to like the lamb that you would get. Because I never used to really eat lamb much until we started processing yours. Like it's a completely different flavor to the normal lamb that people would be used to. Like talk me through why that is, and do you think that even the pasture that you guys feed the lambs on play into that?
Yeah, I don't know about the pastures. Yeah, it potentially could. I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, the lamb itself, I find it's a different texture too. Like, I'd actually say it can be like it can be similar to steak in a way. Um, and it's a different smell to the merino type as well, of meat, is from what I've noticed. Um, and then you've obviously got that marbling through it. There's a lot higher content of marbling. So um, yeah, they do compare it a little bit to Wagyu's a little bit in that sense.
I know some of the chops that we've seen come through, there's a fair bit of flex through 'em, like, it's unbelievable for what you would expect in lamb, and like you said, the taste of it, it doesn't have that, it's almost like a gamey, like that sticky taste on the back of your tongue normally when you would eat like a merino versus the Aussie white. Like, the Aussie white is a really soft on your tongue. It's a lot more flavor, a lot easier to eat, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. No, they've definitely, the developers of the breed have put to spend a lot of time in trying to find a different point of marketing there uh, with that meat, with looking into the low melting points and stuff like that.
And
Uh,
just like coming back to touching on the stud, Scotty, like you guys have spent a lot of time, developing client relationships and things like that as well, with like selling your rams to different guys around the place. Like, how far do your rams go now? And, like you got a lot of repeat buyers of your rams?
yeah, we do find that we've been very lucky with our customers that have been very loyal to us, and repeat buyers. So at the moment, we go as far as the Uppers Longridge with the Rams, and then we've had a couple of people from pretty much down nearly below Geelong, so really down to the southern tip of Australia into Victoria. We had some this year go to Kangaroo Island, is it? Or yeah, Kangaroo Island. So South Australia, down on a little island off South Australia. So that was pretty cool. We actually wanted to deliver those ewes. They were ewes this year, stud ewes. We wanted to deliver them personally, and have a look around the island. But when we travelled down there, the actual swell in the ocean, we got up too much, and I think they got cut off from the main island for I think it was 3 or 4 days. So we had to leave them in Mildura, and they came and collected them a couple of days later.
There you go. And I just touch on, like, you invest a lot in your genetics and things like that. And then a couple of years ago, you invested quite heavily in a pretty well-known Aussie White ram. Can you give us a bit of a rundown around that?
Yeah, the platinum obviously has got a lot of has had a lot of talk around him because of the price tag that we purchased him for. It was probably a little bit of luck that we were involved in that. The talk coming out of the sale was that this ram was something special, and the other stud that we normally buy rams with, we sort of weren't. We weren't really thinking would go down that line with him because we thought he just would be too much money. Uh, so we went and had a look and picked out our selection of rams, and obviously we saw him and thought he was a magnificent animal. And I think it actually already left the sale. I wasn't actually going to stay at the sale, that sale, because I needed to get home for something, and we'd sort of talked about what we thought we would like to purchase with them, and then we had a phone call either the night before the sale saying would we be interested in going in on this ram, and I obviously said to the other two studs that we would, but obviously I've got Dave, who's another stud that we've bought rams with in the past. And anyway, through discussions, all four studs jumped on board, and I thought we actually were going to get a steal there at one stage. We were in the car driving, we were watching the auction and live, and it sort of really stalled at, I think it was about 120,000, and I thought, geez, we're going to get this much cheaper than we were thinking we were going to have to pay. And then, as auctions do, you guys have probably been to plenty. It only takes one other buyer, and it quickly got up to 240,000. So yeah, it's definitely been. He's definitely been our game changer in our stud. Like the evenness now with the lambs that he's produced. Unfortunately, he's actually not alive anymore, but we have stored a lot of semen in all the different facilities that our four studs use. And yeah, he also sort of put us on the map in the way of there was a lot of media around it too. So that was probably one of the biggest things for us, is how much media he caused. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think that was a crazy time for you guys, and yeah, so glad you got into that. And he's a quite big fella, wasn't he?
Oh, he was unreal. The kids could lead him around, and we even got some footage of him at the sale there with I think yourself and I, Dave. We were like giving him a scratch, and he let him out of the pen, and he sort of walked through the whole crowd before he walked back down to the paddock. Like he's pretty calm.
Quiet fella.
Yeah.
Just funny, the whole, like, the chat around that ram and why, like, how we paid what we paid. Like, we've got people that we deal with in town with our sort of where we shop in town and purchase livestock equipment and whatnot like that. And I got talking on the phone, and this person obviously didn't know that we'd purchased the ram, and they were like, "I can't believe these people would pay that amount of money for that ram. Like, how are they ever going to make money back from that?" And I was like, "Well, actually, that was us that went
Yeah.
through." So yeah, it was an eye opener to people, but in the end of the day, when you go four ways, it isn't as bad as what everyone probably thinks.
Go 4 ways and get the media coverage. It pays for
Yeah.
itself very
There was
quickly.
a lot of media off and it was a game changer for your stud too,
Yeah.
like the lambs and that you've seen come through since him, like it's
Oh, just the evenness, like you say, of the ewes at the last sale, the rams, like they're unbelievable. So, yeah, I think great
good
investment, mate.
investment. Okay, we're gonna take it back a couple of years now. So Hen, I'll ask you 2018, 2019, the drought that you guys went through, like talk me through what you remember of going through that drought and what it was like on the farm.
Yes, it was pretty it was fine. Spirits were fine, and I'd probably give this to Scotty. He's very stoic, I suppose, and just understands that that's a part of the land. We have droughts where at the moment we're not in one, but another one will come. So we just need to always, mitigate those risks as much as possible and know that when we're in it that it'll break again. And yeah, but while you're in it, and that one in particular that just went for so long, it it started to it was a pretty hard pill to swallow coming into our 4th year of drought, which I think 19 was the worst.
Yeah, 19 smashed 18. So everybody thought 18 was bad, and then 19 rolled around, and
Yeah. Yeah, and just I remember I was in the middle of, I suppose, having all the babies, 16, and then Matt came along early 19. I just remember sitting out on the patio with my mum. She was staying with me at the time, and I said, "Oh, we better go in. Here comes another dust storm." I just remember within an instant, just not even being able to see the sheds, which are, what, 30 meters away, not even that. It was just dust. It was just, oh, it was so awful.
yeah, I don't think we keep enough. We've actually got a really good drone footage. We got it right before the drought started to break, but I don't think we don't. I don't think we keep enough material on the wall to remind yourselves of that. Um, because it like looking. I only looked at that footage, I reckon, 8 months ago, and it's not the place wasn't recognizable back then, like to what it looks like now. Like in the way it just looks like a desert. But in saying that, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think I'd actually prefer drought over
Flood.
floods.
Yeah, floods are devastating.
Like our floods here, and we choose to live in a floodplain. Like our place, 80% of our place goes underwater, and I'm sorry, like it's a hard one. I don't. We make these decisions to live where we are, and obviously, the further west you live, the tougher seasons you are going to have. Rainfall's less. Like we don't. You don't want that feel sorry mentality because like we choose to do what we do. It's probably not about that. It's trying to mitigate how you go about it. So if you are going into a drought as such, try to make decisions around not leaking funds like hand over fist to and instead of make decisions early before you get in that situation. And with the floods, you can only do what you can do. Like if you know something's coming, then you can make your decisions quick enough to get. Obviously, first and foremost, your first thoughts are your stock, and so you try to get them to spots where you know it's not going to go under. Um, so it's just the choice you make. Like our country is actually better because it is floodplain. It's beautiful black soils. So if we wanted to get away with floods and not have them, well, we're going to have to go to move to sort of either higher sort of hilly country or go to sort of country that doesn't go underwater, but it's not going to be as productive, I don't think. So it is. It's a choice. Yeah, you take the good with the bad. It's a choice.
We understand. Well,
Yeah.
in between, we're just going to make the most of those years in between.
I often think that farmers have a really short memory. And because whenever you talk to someone that's been through a drought or been through a flood, they're like, it's the worst flood we've ever seen. It's the worst drought we've ever seen. But I think I really reckon that farmers put it out of their mind, like what you guys say, like you don't have a lot of footage or you don't have footage of like what it was like on the wall, because you kind of want to put it out of your mind. You need to be able to persevere and think forward and think, what am I going to do to mitigate myself for the next time that it comes through? Like you're always looking ahead instead of getting stuck in the moment. And I think I would say that's like most farmers. You have to be resilient, you have to look forward.
Yeah, and you don't like to have a sort of a, I guess it's not probably a political view, but like we're very, I would say most farmers are very resilient and don't ask for a lot of help. And you do get frustrated when you see people get flooded, and it's, if you haven't done your due diligence, like I'm giving an example. If you live in the city and you haven't done your due diligence, and that area has been prone to flooding in the past, you can only get to it can only go so long where, like, you've made that decision to live there. You've got to try to mitigate that, whether that's building your house higher, preparing your house for those floods. It's no different from us with our droughts and floods. It's, you just got to use those same principles. I just think we sometimes can probably cry poor a little bit too. Like we're always looking for someone else to help where we make those decisions to live and do what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess, like, I know, Scotty, you don't like to class yourself as a greenie per se, but like, I know coming out to your place, you are a really progressive farmer, and you and Hen just like keep progressing forward, and you're always looking for like the next best thing, or you're trying to do the best for your land, and manage some of the pest species. Like, I know last time I was out with you guys, I seen some Indian minor bird traps that you had set up to try and mitigate some of these pest species. And like, this is the sort of stuff that I love talking to you guys about, because you don't want to put a label on the things that you're doing, but you do them because you know that they're the right thing. Can you just talk a little bit about that and some of the practices that you're bringing in on your own farm that you think obviously helps your production and helps the country as well?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, it's pretty special to wake up and listen to the birds and whatnot like that. And when you're driving around, if you turn the motorbike off and stop and listen, and it's just, I love hearing that, all the different bird noises, and we've noticed around here that these birds for example, had been taken over, and and we'd heard that people were trapping, so we sort of jumped into a couple, and it has been really interesting seeing. I think we've been able to trap over 240 birds now.
I haven't heard you personally honors lately, so maybe
There, one of our employees has finished up with us, and he was our number one trapper. So it has gone by the wayside a little bit just recently. But we have noticed a difference, and you do see, we're starting to see a few little native birds start to come back into the gardens as well. But just little things like that, like it's always going to be a challenge to stay on top of it. We've got lots of other invasive species, like we've got like a lot of tree pear, which naturally is, now we've got a bug that's sorting out them a little bit. And then Harisia cactus is a big one that keeps popping up for us. And then you've obviously seen in our river country, the mimosa. It's sort of really, in some of our most productive country, is really sort of taken over, and that sort of came about from the 76 flood. There wasn't a briar bush, or like we call it a briar bush, but it's a mimosa bush wasn't on the place. And yeah, looking forward to taking you guys for a drive next time you're out here, because really we've cleaned up a lot of it in the last couple of months, and we've got country that we've sort of never seen open before in our life. It makes all that river country pretty when you don't have to look at those vines and mimosa bush growing everywhere.
Yeah, and I love to see that fact, mate. Like you go out of your way to spend that time and effort and money on, trying to regenerate your land per se, and like get it back to what it should be, and whether it's pigs or Indian miners or all the invasive species of plants and all that as well. So I think the only thing that I had as well, like talking about living on the river, you got the beautiful McIntyre River. Can you give us your best fishing story? What's the biggest fish you've got out of there?
The kids at the moment are very keen to all catch a fish because at our local pub in Yetman,
Codfish
the
Hotel.
Codfish Hotel, they've got photos of all the locals with the fish, fish that they've caught. So it's definitely put the fishing more on their radar.
I've actually got a very good video of of us fishing one day. It was Henry Holcomb, myself, and it was someone else, and I'm not going to remember. I've got video footage of it, and you can hear the chat. I think Henry Holcomb cast gets himself hooked on a log to the one side of the river, and I was fishing in the middle, and whoever had cast the other way had got himself snagged on a log, and all of a sudden got a fish on, and these two boys didn't know which way to pull the boat because they wanted to get their snags off first. Here we are videoing one coming into the boat and then scanning to the other two that are both hooked on the other sides of the bank. So no, it's a cracking spot, and it's hard to explain to people talking over a podcast like this, but that's one thing that's very special about this place. I know we've got a beautiful home, but for our kids to be able to go down, and even ourselves as adults, and go down and have a barbecue on the river on a pretty pristine bit of water down there, and then we've also got the lagoon that we have a bit of fun on in the summer with water skiing. So we are very, very lucky to have the opportunity to be on this place. So that's one
I think
thing.
that would blow some people's mind in the city that you've got your own lagoon that you can water ski on in your backyard, Scotty. So you're very, very lucky.
Mate, we got friends out here that say it to us all the time, and yeah, that's one thing you try not to take for granted. Like you do try to get yourself in a situation so that we hope that our kids and their kids. Well, you don't want to put pressure. You don't want to put the pressure on your kids to do that. It's their choice. But you want to be able to have that opportunity to be able to give what my parents and what my grandparents and great grandparents have been able to pass on down the generations. You want to be able to try to do that for them, to give them that opportunity to have that special place to themselves as well one day.
Hen, I just wanted to ask, you do a lot of stuff in the community. I know that you're involved in lots of stuff in the community. You sent me a thing the other day for the trivia night. Like, why is having a strong community important when you're in a rural town, in a regional area? Like, give me your take on that.
I suppose we're also very fortunate of where we are because when you say rural, I do not feel like we're rural. Where our kids our kids go to a school where there's 7 kids in total and I own 3 of them. So that's sounding like we're very isolated and there aren't many kids, but yeah, we're 20 minutes from that school and half an hour from a school in Goondiwindi that we could possibly send them to. But um, we've we decided to go to the small school. Obviously, the student teacher ratio is fantastic. We're never going to have that anywhere else. It is a beautiful little community, Yetman, and
It's a little village.
yeah, it's a little village, and it's on the McIntyre River as well. So, I think just one supporting that school. It wasn't just about, oh, we better go and support the school, otherwise it will shut down. It's something that I think the kids are very lucky, very fortunate to be going to that little school. So you want to keep things going in that community to sort of engage, hopefully, more people to possibly send their kids, because we aren't far from our biggest town centre, Gundawindi. So it is very easy for people to decide to go that way, and each to their own. We understand everyone has their reasons, which ways that they want to go and what they want to do. But um, yeah, I just feel like if we, if we stopped sending the kids to that school and the school shuts down, lots of things will probably go as well. So yeah, it is. Yeah, they're giving. It's giving to me as much as I'm giving to them as well.
Yeah, and you've got cricket, and
Oh,
you're lucky there's a men and women's team.
yeah, yeah. So the trivia night was for the PNC, just to raise some funds for the school in case they need to lean on us in years to come. But yeah, then we've got the cricket club, which we get lots of response from that and lots of help, and it's fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've got a
yes.
great crew of people, and it's actually a lot of fun. And we've Scotty, I'll have to give him a rap here. He pushed the women's cricket to sort of get it going, and to start with, I was a bit like, oh gosh, have I got to play cricket now on a Saturday too? But now it's so much fun. We've had such a great response from women.
It brings everyone together. It's
Yeah.
not just the men going away and having playing for cricket for 4 or 5 hours on a weekend. You girls get to come and play, and then it brings that. And when you bring the women to it, you bring the families, and so then everyone hangs around, and it makes it for a fun Saturday. And she normally, if it's a home game, we normally kick on at the Codfish Hotel. So
Kids, if it's Ted, our eldest, said to us the other day, "Are you playing cricket this year, Mum?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Dad's talking about not playing." And I said, "Oh." Well, he wanted to maybe do some more water skiing with you kids. And he's like, "No, I want him to play cricket so we get to go." I thought, yeah, that's, it's a memory for them as well.
I might be getting pushed out. I might
Yeah.
might be contributing enough to the team, mate.
Top man.
Hit you out of school.
Oh dear. I think you're exactly right though, Hen. Like, even though that you live where you live, and even for us too, like people always say, oh, it must be so lonely, you live so far away or you're isolated. But community in a rural town or in a rural community is something so strong about it, because you don't have anybody else. Like, I hear about people that live in a city or live in town and they don't know the person that lives like 2 meters next door. Whereas like us in regional communities, like, everybody within like 100 Ks,
Yeah.
because you rely on your community so much when you're living in a remote area.
Yeah, that's right. And even in our bigger town in Gundawindi, that's how it feels like. You step out of your car and you know everyone. And yeah. And I know not all rural towns are like that, but it's pretty special. It's a bustling little community. It thrives. I feel like it's progressive. I don't feel like I miss out on too much from, living in the city. I also loved living in the city. Like I always say to Scott, I'm very versatile. I could live in most places, but I don't know how much further west I could go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, last question I had from you guys is, so you've been supplying our cow for over nearly 5 years now, I think. So talk us through the changes that you guys have seen on your own farm since when we first met, and what your farm looked like then versus what your operation looks like now.
Yeah, I remember like first, when I first reached out to you guys about trying to do something with lamb, I was talking to your dad, Scotty, and it was I just reached out of a cold call and got Bob's number and had a chat to him, and yeah, it was really good. But just talk us over the changes that you guys have had in your business over the years.
Yeah, well, obviously, jumping on board with you guys has like, we have had to slightly sort of change our operation in the way that we want to be able to be more consistently supplying lambs. And so we've now changed our operation there in the way of we now with have a partner out further west where they can they can run more ewes than what we can, and so what we do now with our lambs is once they've been weaned off their mother, they come straight to home, which is obviously a stepping stone in getting closer to getting to you guys. And so we finish all the lambs here now, which allows us to have more capacity to run those, and so that's been probably a big change for us. And then just having that a reliable market, like you're not, because we've got that relationship with you guys, we can call and obviously speak to Lockie week in, week out with, and obviously you've got other clients on board as well. And so we all sort of try to bounce off each other as to working in, and we all can help each other out to supply. And so far it's been really good. It's worked really well. Um, yeah, we just like having that consistency and having that relationship. And I've always said it in the past, I love seeing comments from people that then have our lamb on their plate, and we get random emails and see comments on the Our Cow pages that they're eating doing kami lamb. Yeah, we love that. And we're actually just about to send some cattle next week.
Yeah.
Next week. First time with some cattle.
First time Dunkami's been back into the cattle for a long time, so we're very excited about that.
Yeah, so we'll
I think that's also an interesting point when you say how the business has changed. And when we're talking about trying to deal with floods and droughts, is that like we've, you only decided to, maybe we should trade some cattle. We've got the feed. We all of a sudden had the season, and we could quickly make that decision and go into that. And obviously, having the discussion with our cow and knowing we've got that avenue out because we've got the product that you guys are after is, yeah.
Yeah, we when we jumped out of our core breeding herd, sort of back in 15, 16, I think it was, like we always knew that we'd be staying in cattle in some way, and we've done some backgrounding and some adjustment with for different people, and just because what we produce on the river, like the grass can get away a bit, and sheep don't like pushing through long grass. I find, so we like to have that where we go through and we have the cattle take the top off the feed, and now we've sort of got ourselves into a position where we've now feel as though we can do some trading and see how we go with that. And hopefully it's something that's going to work out, and we'll sort of do that each year, put those sort of numbers through the place, giving, obviously having that doing that trading too gives us the opportunity, if we are having a tough season where we don't have to jump into them, we can still just focus on our core business with the lambs. And then if the season goes with us, well, we can jump into them. And we have been lucky enough that the last few years last 4 years have been fantastic. We've had, like, you had little dry spells in between, but yeah, so it has changed our business. We seem to have a lot more flexibility with being able to do that with our cow, because what you've got to produce and what product you've got to have there.
Yeah, that's great, mate. And like, I think we've developed a really good friendship over the last few years as well. And we really love being a part of the community out there with you guys, and, having some good times together as well, which is awesome. So really appreciate the support that you guys, like Hannah and yourself, have showed to our cow over the last few years. So thanks, mate.
But that goes both ways, mate. Like at the end of the day, we are working through it in the way of it's part of our business with what we do with our cow now, but is the friendships we've made through doing all this with you guys and Locke, and we've even been lucky enough to meet a lot of your staff, and they're a hoot as well to be around.
Well,
So
Christmas parties.
it's it's just been a great journey so far. And at the end of the day, like, with business is business, but we've got friendships now, and the great thing about that is that I always find friendships will always come first.
Yeah,
For
100%. Thanks, mate.
Sure. Hen, I need to know, what is your go-to recipe? So at the end of each podcast, we wrap up with a recipe. So I've shared mine, which was a corn silver side, and a little bit on how I like to cook it. But have you got like a recipe that you love to cook at home that everyone loves, like household favorite for everyone and the kids?
Yeah, I should probably say something lamb, but I'm not going to. I think my favorite thing to cook, and it's a bit of a winner with everyone, and particularly when you have a big group of people, you can really push it to go a long way, is getting diced beef and cooking a beef massaman curry in the slow cooker.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep. So that
Love
is
that.
one of your favorites.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And it's really simple. Kids love it. Throw on a little bit of rice, but like that's me. I'm not a fancy.
I didn't know where you were going with it. I thought at one stage there when you said keeping everyone happy, I thought you were going to go in tacos track.
Oh, no.
I was like, that's not a recipe.
No.
Thank you both very much for that. And thanks everybody for tuning in to episode 5 of Paddock Talk. The Baker family's story is one of grit, heart, smart thinking, and how Aussie White lamb has helped them turn tough years into a thriving future. When you order lamb from our cow, you're backing people, backing real stories, and backing a better food future. If you love this episode, share it with someone who believes in great farming and even better lamb. We'll see you on the next one.